Maneva na sema PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV de osia dem yopo.
Yes, leaders.
And it has been partisan, politicized each year and each year. And we make huge political capitals. When we come, we renege on the works. Mr. Speaker, you made huge political capital from this work. But you came and reneged. Mr. Speaker, I heard the president yesterday mentioning and instructing the finance minister to allocate 300 million for the flood issues. Mr. Speaker, I am concerned. 350 million. Mr. Speaker, I am concerned. You see, I am concerned because when the Akosomo and the Tong water or flooding issues happen, Mr. Speaker, the 2025 budget made allocation for them and it didn't go. The 2026 added another allocation, it didn't go. When the cocoa issue came, the president again directed the Minister of Finance to make allocation for cocoa farmers. From November last year to this year, July this year, the money hasn't gone. So I am very concerned about another directive that has been made. Whether that one is also going to be another political cliche. We must demonstrate and show action, not just talk, not just the gimmicks. Mr. Speaker, it is important that we stop the gimmickry, we stop the settings, we stop the scam and deal with the issues well. Mr. Speaker, with these few words, I want to urge that we be sincere to the Ghanaian people in dealing with this flood matter. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm grateful.
I proceed to give the floor to Honorable Zanetor Rawlings.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity to comment on the statements made by honourable colleagues. Mr. Speaker, since I came into Parliament in 2017, this is an issue that I have reiterated on many occasions, including mentioning the reasons why we have the flooding. I think there's no doubt in anybody's mind that this incident from yesterday was a black swan event that occurred in the entire sub-region. And it certainly should guide the engineering strategy that will look at this solution for the flooding in Accra and perhaps in the rest of the country. On our probability matrix, what happened yesterday would have been considered once upon a time a low probability and a high impact event. But given the impact of climate change, it would appear that we have to put this on the high probability, high impact, which means that that is where a lot of our resources must be focused. Mr. Speaker, I would like to extend my condolences to the bereaved families, but also to commend the service staff from the security service staff from the Ghana Police Service, especially the Marine Police, the Ghana National Fire Service, the 48 engineers, the Ghana Navy, NADMO, and of course, the Osu fishermen who came over with their canoes from the Osu side to the Adabraka side to help in the rescue efforts. We did lose some persons in the constituency, unfortunately, and as the minister did mention, thousands have been displaced from their homes. Mr. Speaker, yesterday, the fire in the Odorna market raged on for almost 24 hours because the fire service could not access the location where the fire occurred. As a result of that, many people, after the fact of having been displaced from their homes, have lost their livelihoods, many who will end up in debt. So we are grateful for the government's efforts in trying to mitigate the impact of such devastating loss to the lives of these persons. Nevertheless, Mr. Speaker, there is, under the NADMO Act, supposed to be the National Disaster Management Fund, which is supposed to do, amongst other things, help in providing the various agencies with the disaster risk management, as well as climate resilience, and being able to anticipate some of what we expect to come with regards to what is going on globally with climate change. Mr. Speaker, this disaster fund must be operational in order to support such things. We could not control the amount of rainfall that we had, but going into the future, given what we have seen the extent of the damage can be, the engineering has to take that into consideration. And just in response to the fact that a couple of colleagues have spoken to the issue of the Garrett Fund, I would like to mention that a few years ago, when our colleague, the Honorable Asenso, was the minister, he did come to Odorna and he addressed the Odorna garages, the members of the garages, and he did assure that a certain amount of work was going to be done. Unfortunately, a few days afterwards, he mentioned before Parliament that the money had been reassigned to COVID. Mr. Speaker, I think that at this point, if it would be to your pleasure, that the NADMO be asked to come before either the Defense and Interior Committee or before the House to actually give a full account of what happened yesterday, a detailed account of what their challenges are, what they anticipate would be required in such an event happening again, given that we're expecting more rainfall, and what it is that Parliament can do in terms of supporting the efforts of allocating resources to the fund. Mr. Speaker, what happened yesterday was an absolute disaster, which we hope will not occur again. And we hope that as we bring all our resources together, given the expediency that the Finance Committee has shown, that the relevant resources will be given to the security agencies that are required to actually help in the building, the restoration of some of these areas. If only to mention that the enforcement of our laws must be taken as a very important.
I will then proceed to give the floor to Honorable Phyllis Ofosu.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, we are discussing a very serious problem. Tens of thousands of our compatriots find themselves in a dire situation. They are displaced. In other words, their regular places of abode have been taken away from them through natural causes. Over 7,000 households find themselves in distress. 12 people have been confirmed to have lost their lives, and 7 people remain missing as we speak. So, Mr. Speaker, just like the Ecclesiastes says in the Bible, we must understand that there is time for everything. This is not the time for misguided politicking and vacuous political rhetoric intended to achieve political ends, short-term sectarian ends. It is the reason why I'm surprised about some of the claims being made by our colleagues on the other side. For some reason, we are told that there is some lack of coordination. Mr. Speaker, it is a contrived position. The committee set up by the President to coordinate efforts to tackle flooding has not in any way resulted in a lack of coordination. There is nothing wrong with putting together a team to help address an existing problem. As they themselves will be clearly aware, this is a multi-sectoral issue, and therefore there are multiple agencies at play. So coordination led by a deputy chief of staff is in order. No evidence exists of this lack of coordination. It must be placed on record. So at the time when our compatriots are suffering, we do not expect such untrue claims to be made. Mr. Speaker, it has also been claimed that this government has waited for flooding before releasing money for relief. Mr. Speaker, who releases money for relief in advance of the occurrence of the problem? You can only relieve people who are in distress. Yesterday, when I issued a statement, or this morning when I issued a statement on behalf of His Excellency the President, I stated clearly that parts of the money will go towards providing relief for the 38,000 people who are displaced. That could not have been known last week or the week before. Again, another 150 million Ghana cedis is programmed to help address problems brought on by the flooding, which can lead to more flooding. So there's nothing wrong with mitigating the impact of further rainfall. And Mr. Speaker, we are not talking about normal rainfall. We are talking about 170 millimeters of rain in a space of 13 hours. Mr. Speaker, the whole of last year, June, only 56 millimeters of rainfall was recorded. The whole month of June last year. This year, in just 13 hours, 2 days ago, 170 millimeters of rain fell. It is an extraordinary situation that could not have been foreseen, and is the reason why the impact appears to be bigger. Mr. Speaker, our colleagues are also rankled that in the past they were held responsible for flooding. If you stay in power for 8 years, you have no excuse than to take responsibility for flooding, a problem that you should have solved within that period. They claim that they committed hundreds of millions of Ghana cedis to addressing it. Mr. Speaker, what was the outcome of that expenditure? How do you spend hundreds of millions of Ghana cedis on resolving a problem only for it to get worse? It means that the money was either not properly utilized or the wrong approach was adopted. So every Ghanaian citizen has the right to carpet you and criticize you for failure after 8 years. Nobody is going to give you a bouquet of flowers. We won't pour gold, frankincense, or myrrh on you for failing within 8 years to address the problem. But President Mahama has agreed that it is his responsibility as president to address this problem. And therefore, he is going to take steps, very drastic steps, to address it. We just need to give him our support and a bit of time to address the issue comprehensively, as he intends to do. That really is the tone that we should be adopting in this discussion, and not the usual grandstanding that we engage in. Nobody expects that a decades-old problem will be addressed within 1.5 years. Full expectation to have, in light of the resources required.
I think your time is up. Your time is up. It's now the turn of Samia Oku. You have the floor.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, let me begin by also commending the makers of the various statements, particularly that of the Honorable Asensi Boache, who has institutional memory about some of the issues that was particularly discussed during his tenure. And my wonderful friend and chairman, Oti Bless. Mr. Speaker, let's be clear on one thing, that under the previous Mahama government, of which my good friend and brother Felix Kwachiofosu was part, on a single night in June 2015, we lost over 150 lives. Single night. Then the Ghanaian people asked them to retire in 2016. They spent 8 years studying what the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government was initiating and implementing gradually. Mr. Speaker, again, they inherited a country where, in fact, President Mahama is one of the luckiest presidents in the world. Your predecessor left a roadmap, completely had gone through a comprehensive review of Accra flooding situation. The Honorable Asensi Boache, in his statement, clearly enumerated the number of projects initiated under the Akufo-Addo administration. Today, the NDC that took pride, solace, and comfort in politicizing every flood situation in Ghana from 2017 to 2024 is today playing the role of John Paul II, our Pope, late, and behaving as if Ghana only started in 2017. Mr. Speaker, behind the statistics we see on TV are human lives being lost. People have lost their livelihoods. Mr. Speaker, somebody might have gone for a 2,000 CD loan. Today, that money is gone. I have seen a wonderful video of my good friend Felix Kwachofosu during the floods with his staff when they were cheering you on in your jersey, Ghana jersey. People were dying around that time, my brother. Again, Mr. Speaker, when the rain started, I can pardon Felix. I can pardon Felix when he's coming from a background of not knowing how this whole rain started. Mr. Speaker, he was in the US maybe when the rain started. But people have lost their livelihoods. Press conferences won't desilt our gutters. Press conferences won't solve the problems of our poor drainage system. In fact, as Asensu stated, the Honorable Asensu Boachi stated, where the NDC used to have their headquarters, before God being so good, they were able to move to a plush area around Adabraka. The Nima Paloma Odona drains. It was under the NPP that we clearly initiated and fixed that issue. We started that of the Buzia N1 highway, the drainage system. South Kaneshi started under the NPP. We, in fact, under the Garrett project, we had secured funding and started the project. From January 2025 up to date, all we've been hearing, press conferences, committees. And today I'm surprised to see the Minister for Interior here. Because in the government's anti-flood task force, the Minister for Interior is not even part. So who is even managing the flood situation in our country? You put a deputy chief of staff with no compelling controlling role and mandate to coordinate two ministers, that of local government and that of works and housing, a deputy chief of staff. The Minister for Interior, in the midst of the crisis, appeared before Parliament and speaking on behalf of a task force that is not even part. Mr. Speaker, I clearly believe that this is the time that we need leadership. Leadership is not a team sport. When you are elected to lead, you lead. This is not the time for settings, PR, bloggers, patrolling left, right, and center because government wants to score political points. We need answers. And we don't need a government that will pretend to be solving a problem, but then just using chopper to mock our misery. And lastly, we don't elect leaders to tell us our problems. We elect leaders to fix our problems. If President Mahama is tired, he can leave the position for somebody who is also ready to lead us to that promised land. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's now the turn of Dr. Ayu Afriye.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to associate myself with the statement that is being commented on. Mr. Speaker, I think that the germane issues have been tackled, especially so from the minority. The solid argument or presentation from Asenso, a very solid one from the Bosome Ferron MP, and that of my hometown MP, Samia Uku. Mr. Speaker, I would want to come from a little aspect, which is what has happened, the way forward, and then the health issues. Mr. Speaker, it's a country that has no Minister of Environment. And in a previous government, there was a Ministry for Sanitation and Water Resources. Mr. Speaker, currently, I don't know where sanitation issues sit, whether it is with the Community Water Sanitation Agency, or it is with local government, or it is with environment. Mr. Speaker, as of now, it's an environmental issue. It is multisectoral, I understand, but the point of health is where I'm coming from with my contribution. Mr. Speaker, flooding and its attendant effects. I wish the Minister of Health was here to also brief us. And that is where some of us are worried about the coordination of your team. It appears so disjointed. And this is an emergency situation. All such persons should have been here. The Minister of Environment is here, but that position appeared to be still vacant. You need Minister of Local Government to brief us, Interior to brief us, and Health. the outbreak of cholera, malaria, typhoid, the temporary displacement of people and the consequences in terms of respiratory diseases. Mr. Speaker, are we going to wait for the next week and then we'll come here for another budget, contingency, to take care of them? We need to be briefed. The people of Ghana have to be briefed. It appears we are not prepared. It appears for all this while, this approach again is a knee-jerk one. I don't want to be seen to be blaming anybody because this is one catastrophe that comes on annual basis. Since I graduated from sixth form, I saw a heavy one 1995. Mr. Speaker, probably this will be the heaviest after about 30 years. What next? I'm not going to blame anybody on my position. But I also think that there were some genuine points that were put on the floor. The previous government did something. Where are we? Where are we? Where are we? Where are we? Where is the money? Where is all of this? We want to know where we're going. But then also the citizens. The citizens. Mr. Speaker, I will end on a note just to say that all of us, we have a role to play. All of us, we have a role to play. We have a role to play. In as much as we are putting the pressure on government. In as much as we are putting pressure on government. In as much as we are putting pressure on government. It is their responsibility. It is the responsibility on all of us, the citizens, to press forward the municipalities. Money has been given to the municipalities. According to the Minister of Local Government, that is citizen vigilante. We are supposed to put responsible pressure. We are supposed to put responsible pressure on the local government and the municipalities. The Minister of Local Government is saying that monies has been given to the assemblies, but the monies are not being used. If you go to Alajo is submerged because of blockage and the inability to take away due to poor sanitation. Where is our money? Yes, citizen vigilante. Let's put responsible pressure on the municipalities and the assemblies. It behoves on all of us. A lot of refuse dumps have not been cleared in Alajo. In Alajo, I'm citing Alajo. Alajo has been submerged because refuse dumps has not been cleared, Mr. Speaker. At this point in time, the Minister of Local Government has confirmed that monies has been given to assemblies and they have not been used. Where are we going as a country? Where are we going as a country? So in conclusion, Mr. Speaker, citizens vigilantism. Citizen vigilantism. Let's put responsible pressure on government. And the assemblies must account for resources given to them. At the tail end, we want the Minister of Health to come and address us.
Ministers cannot just walk to the chamber and present statement. This is the Parliament of Ghana, an arm of government. And you belong to the executive, who is also an arm of government. So, subject yourself to due process, bring your statements for it to be minuted on, and the Speaker will decide whether to admit or not. Because it's very important. You know, when you come, we will listen to you, so you just come and present statement. What is that? Minister, don't do that again. Next time, go to the process. So on this occasion, are you coming under 91? Or...
As you may know, Mr. Speaker, anytime you have to come under Order 91, then it's minister and giving government policy. But when you come under 93, it could be an urgent public issue that you needed to draw attention of the public. And that was why usually I prefer to come under 93, where I'm a member of parliament. Even if you are a minister, you are not a member of parliament. By virtue of being a minister, you are an ex-officio member of parliament. So, Mr. Speaker, I just want to thank the House for the indulgence and to say that we had an incident that is reoccurring. And Mr. Speaker, the flood that affected the Greater Accra was something that, yes, the Ghana Meteorological Agency drew our attention and told us that we should expect more rains this June and July. Yes, it's something that they mentioned to us. But what they try to do is that on daily basis, they try to give us, at least in 6 hourly basis, the likelihood of what will happen. Mr. Speaker, let me state that What happened yesterday came to our attention only around midnight of the day before yesterday. That yes, the rains, as they predicted, will be coming, but they are expecting that to be a little heavier than they expected. So even as at that time, they could not really tell us about the quantum of water we should expect. But Mr. Speaker, by the time we got to the morning, we saw a volume that is the fourth highest that this country has ever seen since 1995. A volume of 169 millimeters of water in a day. And Mr. Speaker, as you may see from the videos and the surveillance cameras, it flooded largely almost all Accra. It prevented people from coming into the central business center of the Accra, the center of Accra, because almost all the peripheries were affected. Mr. Speaker, 25 communities were affected. And with your permission, I will just go ahead and mention those communities that were heavily affected in the yesterday's rain. Mr. Speaker, we had Apollonia, or maybe I should just do the municipals, the metropolitan assemblies. In that one, there are 18 assemblies that were largely affected by the Monday, rains. And these are Ga East, Lojokuku, Ayawaso Central, Ga Central, Ga West, Ablekuma North, Ningo Prampram, Weja Bawe, Ga South, Adenta, Kolekote, Okankwe South, Okankwe North, Tama West, Tama Metropolitan Assembly, La Dade Kotopong, and Krowo. Mr. Speaker, the number of persons that were displaced in the various municipalities are Ga East. We had 2,000 persons being displaced, and that's 400 households. We had 6 missing individuals and 5 deaths from Ga East alone. Lojokuku, we had 1,200 displaced with 240 households, 1 missing and 3, Lojokuku, there was no missing person, but we had 1 death. Ayawaso Central, 3,021 persons were displaced, and that's 605 households. We had 1 person missing and then 3 deaths. The Speaker, Ga Central, 1,811 individuals were displaced, 363 households. We didn't have any missing or dead person. Ga West, equally, we didn't lose anybody and nobody got missing, but the number of persons that were displaced were 2,300 and then 460 households. Ablekuma North, 651 displaced, 131 households, no missing or dead person. Ablekuma, Nungo Prampram, 1,377 displaced, 276 households. Wejabawe, 2,500 households, 2,500 individuals, 500 households. Ga South, 2,100 displaced, 420 households. Adenta, 1,850, 370 households. Kolekote, 6,500 displaced, amounting to 1,300 households. Okankwe South, 701 displaced, 141 households. Okankwe North, 2,620, and then 524 households. Tema West, we had 690 households displaced with 3,450 individuals displaced. Tema Metropolitan Assembly, we have 721 households displaced, which affected 3,601 individuals. In the case of Tema West, we had 3 persons that lost their life. La Dade Kotopong, we had 404 households displaced, amounting to 2,020 individuals. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, Krowo, we had 220 households displaced and 1,100 individuals displaced without any death. Mr. Speaker, when you put all these numbers together, we have a total of 7,761 households that were displaced, with 38,802 individuals affected, with 7 persons still missing as of this morning, because, Mr. Speaker, I've been at the Finance Committee in the past 3 hours. I've not been able to read my briefs this afternoon. I don't know whether many more have been found, but 7 people as of this morning were displaced, and the total death are 12 individuals that we lost. Mr. Speaker, let me take this opportunity to extend our condolences and that of government and the people of Ghana to the families that lost their family members, and we assure them we are with them in this difficult moment. We know many people could not be in their homes and even sleep in their homes, but government is doing whatever it can. Mr. Speaker, with your permission, I'll mention some information from Central Region that also happened last 2 weeks, which I have the details. In Central Region, Mr. Speaker, last 2 weeks, we had 58 houses that collapsed. And for those of us who are very familiar with Central Region and the kind of houses, because of the mud houses, some of them are the bricks, some of the houses were over 100 years old, but these were the districts and how they were affected. Cape Coast Metropolitan Assembly lost 20 houses, Gomoa East 2 houses, Gomoa West 1 house, AOB 2 houses, Aguna East 7 houses, Gomoa Central 1 house, Tufo Ahima Lower Dentra 6 houses, AAK 4 houses, Mfansiman 5 houses, Asin South 1 house, Asin North 7 houses, Efutu 2 houses. And Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, there too we lost 18 individuals as per the report that was sent to me. In Cape Coast, death by building collapse 5, death by drowning 1, Gomoa Central, death by building collapse 1, death by drowning 1, Mfansiman, death by building collapse 2, death by drowning 1, Chofi Ati Monkwa, that's TAM, death by drowning 1, Upper Dentre West, death by drowning 3, Aguna West, death by drowning 1, Upper Dentre East, death by drowning 2. Mr. Speaker, if you permit me, I also have some information from Volta Region. Volta Region, the number of communities that were affected were in excess of 60 communities. I must admit, based on the information that we have, they were not life-threatening, situation in the case of Volta Region, but the districts that were affected were Keta, and it has 7 communities that were affected. Anlo had 6 communities that were affected. Ketu South had 6 communities that were affected. Ketu North had 6 communities that were affected. South Tong had 8 communities that were affected. Akachi had 9 communities that were affected. Gotiman Zokwe had 6 communities that were affected. Adakulo had 2 communities that were affected. Central Tong had 3 communities that were affected. North Tong had 2 communities. Host municipalities had 8 communities that were affected. Mr. Speaker, the same can be said of Western North, where in Samraboy we had a number of communities that were sunk. In fact, we had in excess of over 1,200 persons that were displaced in the Samraboy and its environs. Mr. Speaker, in the nutshell, to say that this was something that was a difficulty for us as a country. I must admit, Your Excellency, Mr. Speaker, if you look at the statistics that we received from the Ghana Meteorological Agency, it clearly states that in the month of June, we normally expect a lot of rains. But what happened yesterday gave us 169.2 millimeters of water. And this is the fourth largest volume of water in a day since 1995. And for the month of June, we had a total in month of June of 593.2 millimeters of water. And Mr. Speaker, is the highest our country has ever received in its history in 1 month, 593.2. The closest was in 2002, and that was 420.6 millimeters. And the other one was 2015, 380.3 millimeters. And these statistics, Mr. Speaker, I'll make it available for the House, are the things that, so it clearly shows that, yes, the human activities, pouring, refuse into our drain, building on waterways, all contributed. But naturally, it clearly shows that even if we had everything right, the kind of rains that we received in June and yesterday will have necessarily created some overflow and created some problem for us. Mr. Speaker, what have been government interventions since we got to know that we were going to run into crisis? Mr. Speaker, you realize that the Minister of Interior gave an alert and advisory to all citizens, especially in and around Accra, to stay home. And we're able to do this very early. Mr. Speaker, we believe that that has contributed largely into minimizing the kind of crisis that we could have had. Because if all persons around that rush hour were in traffic where they could not turn around and other things, and worst case, maybe fire gutted into it, maybe we'll have been counting much losses than we are seeing today. Mr. Speaker, there were a number of fires that also came with yesterday's rain. We have the Odona market that there a lot of makeshift structures were burnt. We also had fire in Tema. We had, Mr. Speaker, with your permission, I want to give some of the statistics that we received. Odona market, yes, the fire came in around 8:08 in the morning, just around the peak of the rain, and we did all we could, but it came under control at 11:33, almost midnight, and we're able to finally put it off around 2:32 a.m. this morning. Mr. Speaker, we also had fire in Tema, but fortunately, it wasn't, we didn't lose any life. It wasn't also very severe because we were able to deal with it. There was also a newly built 4-floor house that collapsed. Fortunately, at Tabola, fortunately, no life was lost because all the occupants left the building before it collapsed. Mr. Speaker, all these statistics, since yesterday, His Excellency the President of the Republic had to fly over to see the extent of the damage, and this morning, graciously, last night, the President instructed that from their contingency fund, we should be able to access some money. And I'm happy to state, I know the Finance Committee may come and brief the floor and give much details. A total amount of 350 million is being targeted to be used to help in dealing with the challenges that we have. Mr. Speaker, the President has instructed that 200 million will be targeting relief items to this close to over 10,000 households that have been affected across the whole coast. And the 150 will be used to mitigate the flood issues within this, the coastal area. Mr. Speaker, I must admit, when you look at Act 927, that's the National Disaster Management Organization Act. When you look at Section 21 of the Act, it clearly stipulates the Disaster Management Committee. And in the Disaster Management Committee, Mr. Speaker, if you permit me, we have almost all the relevant agencies being there, and it is chaired by the Minister for the Interior. As we speak, a meeting has been called at the presidency involving all these ministers to come so that we put our heads together and make sure that we deal with the issue. Mr. Speaker, if you permit me, Section 21, National Disaster Management Committee. There is established a National Disaster Management Committee. The National Disaster Management Committee, subject to subsection 3, comprises A, the Minister for the Interior as chairperson, Director General, that's for the Director Generals of the NADMO, that's National Disaster Management Committee, the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Director General of the National Ambulance, the Chief Directors of each of the following ministries: Ministry of Water Resources, Works and Housing, Ministry of Information and Media Relations, Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Food and Agriculture, Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology and Innovation, Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, the Chief of Defense Staff, the Inspector General of Police, the Chief Fire Officer, the Chairperson of the National Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction, Climate Change Management, one representative of the Consortium of Non-Governmental Organizations, one representative of the Interagency Standing Committee of the United Nations Country Team, one representative of the Ghana Federation of Disabled, and the legal officer of the National Disaster Management Organization as secretary. Mr. Speaker, we are of the view that we don't need to only go there with our chief directors. We want the ministers themselves to be there with the support of their chief directors, so that we give it the necessary attention that it requires. Mr. Speaker, we want to assure this House that these resources that is being extended to this committee will make sure that it is put to the best of use. We have even started the move with the acting defense minister that we should put our 48 engineers regiment in place to use the resources in making sure that all those clearance that needs to be done is done by the 48 engineers, so that we do not have to waste time in going through procurement challenges and all that. So we'll be using our own military to carry out as much as possible all they can be able to do. So, Mr. Speaker, yes, we've lost 12 lives, which is very unfortunate. I want to believe that as a country, we probably have to work very hard to ensure that we minimize these losses. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to speak on one of our prominent media houses, and I said, disasters will always come. It is how prepared you are that will determine the amount of loss that may be occurred. Because, Mr. Speaker, today, and I'm saying it not to water down the effect, but just to draw all of us attention that America is the richest country in the world. And one of its richest states is California. California state is the richest state in America. In fact, standing on its own, is the 6th largest economy in the world. Yet they had disaster and people lost their life. But they have all the money, they have all the measures. We are not using this as an excuse. Water will always come, but we must do what we can as people. And we are looking at this as a whole of government and a whole of society approach. We are looking at it as a whole of government and a whole of society approach, where individuals will have to take their responsibility, assemblies have to take their responsibility, those of us in government will have to take our responsibility and work very hard to ensure that we do not lose life unnecessarily. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the House for the audience, and I hope that in our contribution, we will make sure that we do not degenerate this into politicking when our people are dying and people really need relief. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.